A woman in Germany died during a ransomware attack on the Duesseldorf University Hospital, in what may be the first death directly linked to a cyber attack on a hospital. Murder charges then, when perps found. This is not anything I've thought of before, and now I'm scared. Attacking hospital infrastructure is a serious crime against humanity. This is shit that's considered off limits even in war. Cruel world we live in. Hospital cybersecurity is the equivalent of locking your door with a match. My company gets hit by ransomware on a few of our remote systems about once a year. We never pay, we just wipe the server and install fresh. But it still bugs me that it happens. No clue how they get in. We up security every time, and it's not the kind of system that a trusted employee could accidentally download malicious software onto, so it's definitely a targeted attack. Fucking leeches. Cyber investigators and cybersecurity teams are going to be needed sooner rather than later for our society. The Internet of Things is something to be feared. It opens the way for a very dystopian future, where practically any object and utility can be rendered useless or dangerous. Attackers used a 6-month-old Citrix vulnerability that their IT didn't fix. Gross negligence. Hospitals in Germany often don't have the best or IT infrastructure, so they are vulnerable. Often IT departments are run by some 50-year-old dude unwilling to do any form of upgrade. I know of 3 hospitals in my surrounding that are guilty of that. Man, this is not the future I wanted to live in. Well, they tried to attack the University of Duesseldorf, which is on the same campus. When the cybercrime force of the police told them that they hacked the hospital, instead they gave back the key or whatever. I am not an IT wizard. Seems like they fucked up big time. More info: https://arstechnica.com/information technology/2020/09/ patient dies after ransomware attack, reroutes her to remote hospital /amp = 1. Not to defend the hackers one bit, this was a tragically sloppy breach, and extorting an educational facility is scummy even if they'd hit their target, but there's definitely factors within the hospital that contributed to this. Firstly, the reason why they sent her away is because they couldn't accept new patients. They sent her out again because the filing system was down. That's not a good enough reason to not give someone life-extending medical attention. Hospitals in the global south regularly go without electricity, and patient filing is probably pretty far down in their list of problems. It seems to me someone tried to get a headache out of their way and made a bad judgment call on a patient's condition. Secondly, the exploit went through a widely used commercial add-on software that was also so broad in its applicability that the attacker expected it to run in the university. YTF are state-owned institutions relying on privately developed software with apparently shitty code review on critical systems connected to the internet. Why isn't whatever they needed to keep this woman alive on an isolated network? Why doesn't the richest country in Europe develop a proprietary system to be used in its facilities to minimize the risk of it becoming catch in an attack on other systems and run independent code reviews? Look up the hoops that had to be jumped through to pull off the Stuxnet hit, and you'll see that compromising an air-gapped Windows system running proprietary specialized software is extremely elaborate and completely unattractive for ransomware devs. This smells heavily like some bean counter who never considered the implications of it, bought some one-size-fits-all software pack that was sold as remotely cyberable, no added hardware cost, and probably frictionless off-site backup. If human lives depend on data infrastructure, we gotta stop treating it like the communal fleshlight at Burning Man. It's simple as that. And if that means you gotta hire someone to go on site every day and pull a manual off-site backup and service the system if necessary, you could lock this whole thing TF up. Too bad it's just working people's lives that are endangered when some dusty-ass black cot aims a shotgun exploit at a ratty, cost-efficient filing system in one of the richest countries in the world, and not something that's important enough to ensure rigid security considerations. But yeah, hacker equals bad. Never ever pay a ransomware ransom. Make sure you have backups. If you pay them, they will come back. This is an act of terror. This will not work out well for these assholes. The cyber attack was not intended for the hospital, according to a report from the German news outlet RTL. The ransom note was addressed to a nearby university. The attackers stopped the attack after authorities told them it had actually shut down a hospital. Please read the articles and not the headlines. There are no details other than she couldn't be admitted, so was sent somewhere else. That doesn't happen. I work in a hospital supporting clinical systems and radiology. If any of our systems is completely down, we have a number of backup processes, including, if needed, pen and paper. There should be no IT reason that a patient is turned away like that, particularly from an emergency department. All our radiology equipment can still operate and be used to diagnose without network connectivity, it just needs power. I don't think this is a completely true story. Unimaginable. Sometimes the world becomes more cruel in ways you didn't think possible. Sounds like incompetence on the hospital management's part. They should have procedures in place for dealing with emergencies manually for when systems are down for whatever reason. Who the fuck launches a cyber attack on a hospital? For what purpose? Edit, NVM, I can't read. I work at that university hospital, although in science and not in patient care. Except for a few, all operations have been cancelled for the time being. The hospital is disconnected from the emergency ambulance and is not taking any emergency, which is bad because it's by far the biggest hospital of the city. Apparently, no patient data were lost and IT and cybersecurity are working on restoring everything and no ransom has been paid to those fuckers. I'm shocked they stopped the attack when they were told it was a hospital. I work at a food bank that was the victim of a ransomware cyber attack 3 years ago. We told them we were a food bank and they didn't stop. Our IT company was at least able to free us from the ransomware and restore some of our data, but we still lost years of data. And the attackers are most likely from China or Russia. As a software engineer, this hurts deeper than even my soul. Sword Art Online roleplay is getting a bit out of hand. God, I hate humans. Why though? Probably no chance catching the pricks, but if they do, hopefully they will be charged with murder. Boardroom, shows security system pre/post breach. Boardroom, find the difference between these images. Pentester hidden in the corner, they're the same picture. If IT is doing their job, then everything work. Management wonders WTF they are paying them for. If IT fails and systems go down, then management wonders WTF they are paying them for. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Note the wording of directly linked as opposed to not so directly linked but still related. https://krebsonsecurity.com/2019/11/study ransomware data breaches at hospitals tied to uptick fatal heart attacks. Can someone smarter than me help me understand why critical IT infrastructure is connected to the internet at all? Whether it's a hospital or a power plant or whatever. For example, the article mentions as an example that a piece of radiology equipment is connected and therefore can be targeted. I just don't see why this is necessary. The hospital's internal network, sure, but why can't that be kept physically separate from the internet at large? These Black Mirror episodes in 2020 really sucks. I think police don't care about hacking against individuals and small organizations as much as they should, because it's just not what they're trained to focus on and not where the budget is. There aren't enough cybercrime officers. Police salaries and maximum IQ hiring policies probably also contribute to the problem. They only go after hackers when there's huge pressure from above, and that's usually federal police, and usually only happens when there's a large institution being threatened, e.g. a government or large corporation. And the cybercrime against governments and large corporations that gets pursued most aggressively includes whistleblowing, freely sharing copyrighted material, and exposing weak security, which is often harmless or beneficial to most people, whereas cybercrime against individuals or smaller institutions, which rarely gets investigated, is usually harmful.